afternoon with us. We're going to each introduce ourselves, and what we would like to do is each make our presentation. We're going to make it to a very brief presentation and then open it up to questions. We really want to hear what your needs are, and please understand we don't have all the answers, but collectively we are stronger. I'm Teresa Harrington, and I am from Georgetown, which is on the coast. It is like halfway in between Myrtle Beach and Charleston, and usually folks know where Myrtle Beach and Charleston are. I am a member of the First Baptist Church there. We are a small town, but we are the largest congregation in that small town. I am a volunteer. Professionally, I am a retired educator and a licensed professional counselor. And basically got involved in the ministry from the beginning. We were thinking about how to begin the ministry. The person who had the vision listed it in our church bulletin, "Won't volunteer." So I'm thinking, sounds good to me, I'll volunteer. And so that is initially how we got started. What I'd like to do is use the handout as a guide for the presentation that I'm going to give. And I'm going to go over some of them and then expand a little bit. Basically, the beginning, the way we got started is through one individual in our church who God placed upon her heart to start this ministry. And she absolutely never accepts no. Okay? And so she had roots in that church for about 50 years. So the staff was very accustomed to her not accepting no. Okay? So she basically went to our pastor and got permission and then started looking for a location as he asked her to. She incorporated people in our congregation to spearhead and basically help this road be paved. She had the vision and she had the expertise because she had had a preschool for over 30 years. She was a very respected individual in our community as well as an educator. So not only did she have the passion in a Christian aspect, she had the professional expertise. And I'm telling you that she helped educate a huge population in our community. And quite frankly, most of that population is truly obligated to her in some form or fashion. They just love her. And she doesn't mind calling some people to help her. That is how we're supposed to coexist, right, God? You know? It's supposed to be an exchange. That is what God wants us to do. For us to use our gifts that He has given us and to accept gifts also. A lot of us have difficulty accepting that, but that is part of it, giving and receiving. Because don't we receive more when we give? So, Miss Peggy had the vision. And of course, it needed to be handicap accessible. And so she found what was our prayer chapel. We are a growing church, and quite frankly, we didn't have space for any other kind of program. But she found the prayer chapel that was not used on Sundays and decided to incorporate that for a small class. She had volunteers, a very core group of volunteers, maybe 5 or 6. Some of these folks were professionally trained, others were not. And as we have built the program, we don't really necessarily have to have professionally trained people. We need folks that love the Lord, want to share that message with other folks and their families, and quite frankly, others can train them. We're talking about having a heart for folks. And that is the ingredients that we look for when we talk about with our volunteers. Because if God has chosen you, He equips you. That's the deal. At this point, we have about 30 volunteers. You also think about, okay, what kind of materials am I going to use? Okay? You've got the location. You've got the support of the church. You've got the volunteers. How are you going to work with these folks? Well, we're a Baptist church, and our Baptist convention has a special needs materials, Sunday school materials. And so we order those, and then we adapt those, because obviously we want materials to be interactive. We want the folks participating. What we started with is a designated program. So basically, folks were not integrated at first. It was a specific, unique ministry. And as the ministry grew, and as we became more comfortable with what we were doing and more knowledgeable of what we were doing, we felt those folks who wanted to, we've done some inclusion. Basically, Miss Peggy serves as our director. She's under the auspices of our associate pastor. So he basically is in charge of everything, but I tell you, he defers everything to her. Okay? Where I come in is I started volunteering, and then professionally have worked with a lot of families and a lot of special needs folks, and as a counselor, just know that that's God's will upon my life. And just became more involved with that. Our ministry has grown, and we really believe that it's going to continue to grow. But we've got the materials through the Baptist Convention to modify those based upon the needs of our individuals. Let's say we do inclusion, then we work with those teachers to incorporate activities that would be appropriate and would be meaningful for those folks, so that we can help those teachers feel empowered and feel confident about what they're doing. Because what we have found, if you're willing to give your time and teach a Sunday school class, you really just want to be able to do that and share the love of God in order to do that. So we help them with that. And thank goodness they feel comfortable saying, please help me. What do I do with so and so? Obviously, we look to the parents about what kind of strategies work with individuals, because you know your children best. And we learn from you. And so we're just very grateful that you're willing to share those children. What we have found as a way of continuing the program is we got a committee started, and in our church, in our denomination, it's a committee-driven congregation. And so one of the ways to get a stronghold in the church is you have a committee. And so, hey, that was a priority for us. Got a committee started. We meet once a month. And sometimes that lasts for an hour, and sometimes that lasts for 2.5. But whatever, we have things to talk about, we have things to decide. And we've decided we're not going to meet through email. That's not the deal. We're going to meet face-to-face, hash things out, and of course things stay in confidence with that committee. The committee is made of church members, folks from different, represent different committees like our personnel, our finance. Our associate pastor is on that committee as a non-voting member, but they have weekly staff meetings, and he's our vehicle to share information back and forth. Also, we need to remain in line with the church's mission. So that's what helps everything stay connected. Also with the committee, it is a way to get information to other committees so that folks know what's going on, so they can understand the importance of meeting these needs, and that we are not an add-on, we are part of. Does that make sense? So that we can be a major force in helping meet the needs of our community. In addition to that, what we found is that the outpouring of money was just amazing. We were just taken aback by that. And folks wanted to help with that. They wanted to help provide services. And so about after 7 months or so that the ministry started, they designated a fund specifically for Grace Church. And that continued to grow so that it's like, what are we going to do with this money? How are we going to spend it? Because that's how people donated it, and we want to stay with that intent. And so we started taking some pretty wonderful field trips and started having some wonderful events at the church. And then there was, and folks that were in the earlier presentation, you'll recall that I mentioned about a mother that was in need of after school services for her child, she was going to need to quit work. And God had laid upon Miss Peggy's heart that we needed to do some aftercare. Now, our dream is to have all-day care, okay? And also our dream is to have lots of respite care. So we've got some more dreams. We're just really getting started. So she saw that as a real opportunity to start an aftercare program. And so we were able to do that through the generosity of folks. And when I say that, I'm talking about, $25 donations to thousands of dollars of donations. But where, it's the idea of following God where He is working. He's paved the way. And you individually here may be the tool that God has identified to do these kinds of things in your community. Thank you.
We're talking about the building of the methods. Our previous session, we talked about the vision, getting a vision, making sure you had something to shoot for, if you will. Every ministry method that we do at Emmanuel Baptist Church goes through our church mission statement, which is share, connect, serve, and disciple. In other words, share Christ, connect others to God and with each other, serve others, and to disciple, so that person being discipled can go out and start the whole process over and over and over. So this includes our children's ministry and our special needs for children's ministry at Emmanuel Baptist Church. So there's some basic things, building special needs ministry. First of all, communication. You should have a little sheet, I see you've got right there. When it comes to communication, 3 things to remember. Talking to parents. Talking to parents because you need to get input. Honestly, there's some things I sit down and draw up, and I go, oh, this is a great idea! And you go to someone and they go, it wouldn't happen in a lifetime. You're like, okay, start all over. Because you're getting input from your parents, you're getting input from people who have been there, you're getting input from people who know better than you do or I do. So communication is one. The second one, is training workers. When it comes to training workers, you have to just be honest. We're just real upfront with our children's workers in our church. And say, here's how we're going to do it. And here's how our policy is. Sled checks. We let people, usually, quite frankly, if someone comes to volunteer for children, you say, good, I just need your social security number, such and such thing, and let's do a sled check or a background check. If they go, then you don't want them working with your children. You don't want them working with your children. So training, when it comes to communication, talk to your parents, train your workers. Like I said, being honest is effective and important. Again, this is the methods. We're going through the methods. It's how to get this thing off the ground and get it going. And when it comes to training your workers, we do like to get professionals to come into our church and that have already been through this and know how to do this. And we do specialized training. We do general overall training. Like twice a year, we do children's workers training, in which we bring all the children's workers in and we highlight things. But we also do like specialized for special needs children. We're doing that in a couple of weeks in February at our church. That our children's workers are going to come in, someone's going to come in, and we're going to specifically talk about that need. And in this case, that's what we're talking about, special needs training. And finally, teaching the students. Teaching the students, helping other kids understand. I think our youth pastor, he and I were discussing a couple of kids that have grown, one that's grown up through our children who has special needs, who grew up in our children's group and is now in the youth group. And then there's another child that came in 2 or 3 years ago who just kind of got integrated into the youth group. And he said the best advice someone gave him was to make sure you talk to the kids to help them understand what's going on. That when Brandon goofs off, when Brandon comes up to you and says, "You want to see my gun?" Like, what are you talking about, Brandon? And he does this. You know, you have to go, teachable moment. Brandon, you can't ask people this. But that's what Brandon does. He came up to me the other day and goes, come on, I got a gun, Pastor David. And he flexed for me. I said, well, I got a deal. So what? So anyway, I told him, I said, Brandon, I said, I got kicked out of the computer lab. He goes, why? I said, because the python kept eating a mouse. So teaching the students.
That's really helpful.
I love it. I don't know why some of you guys are writing this down. It's python with a Y or an I. Communicate. Talk to your parents, train your workers, teach the students. Integration. And I think this separates, this is what kind of separates different churches. It's just a different style, different approach. Like we were talking about this last session, certain churches do it certain ways. There's churches I've been involved in where they have separate ministries for special needs. And that works for them. There's certain churches that integrate. Our church, we tend to integrate our children all together and put them in flux of things. And when it comes to integration, it's key to get students plugged in. Get the students plugged in. Get them around their peers. Get them familiar and comfortable. Now listen, understand this isn't always going to work. And there's some, and we're going to talk about this in a few minutes about the dedication. But this is some ideas and some processes that hopefully will work. Personal stories like Nick, one of the girl ladies at our church who's here at the conference, her son Nick is. You know, he wanted to help, and when we talk about integrated, he loves to get hands-on. He loves sound and things like that. So we have our children's ministry is called E Street, and we have 80 to 100 kids on a Sunday morning. We go down to the gym with them. We have sound system. We have music. We have live music. Well, Nick comes down there and he helps out with the sound. I mean, he loves doing sometimes a little too much. Nick, get your hands off that. Nick, quit turning up the music. Nick! But you know what? But it helps. He enjoys that. And it's also training him. It's giving him some skills. It's helping him learn. And he enjoys coming down there. We have a little boy named Ethan Fisher. And Ethan, when we had our Awana games, man, there are certain games he did not like to play. He did not want to do certain games. And Awana is a program we do on Wednesday nights. Some of you guys probably know what Awana is, but it's Bible-based. It's a lot of memory application and games. They do a physical game in our gym. Until one day, and I was constantly getting people coming up going, Pastor David, Ethan won't play the game, you know. And I had to finally go in and I saw this gentleman and said, I got it, don't worry about it. And he would go, Ethan, run with me, run with me, run with me, run with me, Ethan. So Ethan would run with him. Ethan, stop right here. Okay, Ethan, get ready, get ready, get ready. So Ethan, go! And he took an invested interest in Ethan's life and integrated him in and started helping. Pretty soon he was backing away. And guess who was continuing to play the game? Ethan was continually playing the game without having it. And he'd be proud of what he did. Did you see me play? Did you see me play? Yeah, we saw you, Ethan. So what he was doing was he was teaching him. He was teaching him how to be included through the communication, through the integration, getting him plugged in. Formatting curriculum to fit learning style. We basically have the same curriculum across the board. But we're very blessed and fortunate to have some professionals who know how to adapt the learning according to the child's learning ability or learning disability, if you will. I think it's more of an ability than anything else. So what they do is they're able to say, okay, this child's more kinetic. So they come up with a game that includes the lesson. And usually what you'll find is the other children get involved with it also. And what they don't realize is this teacher is meeting this child's need with the learning skill, and they're getting involved with it. And they'll come back and say, let's do that again. We have two teachers that are really Sunday school teachers that have this, they bring in this big quilt and has letters all over it, large letters, and they play this game. And don't do it every week, because if you do it every week, it kind of takes the fun. But it's really cool because they'll use these letters to, okay, I was thinking of a city where Jesus was born, and one of the letters is up here. B, now they're up there, they want to go get the B and hold the B and talk about what Bethlehem's going to be. But you know what? It's connecting it down. The curriculum's a little bit different, but they're incorporating that learning style for that child so they can get a hands-on approach to it. Some churches actually, don't you guys, you have your own curriculum for that particular ministry. So you have some curriculum you can order for the particular ministry, special needs ministry. But like we said, it depends on your church and personality of church, or whatever you're doing. See how it fits your church, and you get a temperature of your church. And when it comes to integration, updating facilities. We did a walkthrough. We had to do this anyway because our church has a school as well, and you have to be coded. I mean, there have to be certain things in certain places for everyone. Handicap accessible, changing tables, things of that nature. And we found out just recently that one of our bathrooms needs a changing table. So the question is, do we put it on this side? Do we put it on that side? But unfortunately, we don't have a community. We're an independent Baptist church. So what we do is we just put it off for 3 months. Until someone says, hey, what about that thing? Oh, yeah! Then we put it off for another 2 months. But yeah, we realized, hey, there's some things. We've got to upgrade our facility. And we've got to figure out, where do we put this? Where do we do this? And looking around and seeing, okay, do we have enough parking lots, handicap parking lots? As a matter of fact, we had to create some more on our worship center, only had so many. And then all of a sudden you have especially these people coming in like, man, they've already taken up 4 places. Well, then we need to go paint blue on the other side over there to make sure we accommodate all that are coming in. So that's important. Don't underestimate that, because this person came in and said, I mean, you helped me, but he said one thing that helps him understand something is he looks for blue stripes. If he doesn't see blue stripes, he knows he's not welcome. I went, really? Because he goes, where am I going to park my truck? He's in a wheelchair. And if he can't get your church, your front door, because he has to park way over there, he does not feel welcome. Now, he's not. Now, listen, and I understand what he's saying. He doesn't feel entitled at all. To him, it's just an understanding of how you view special needs, how you view people. So that just kind of like, wow, opened your eyes to a lot of things. So updating your facilities when it comes to integrating. So we're communicating by talking to parents, training workers, teaching our students. We're integrating. Getting students plugged in. And again, this is a manual. This is just a manual. Formatting curriculum to learning style, or adapting the teaching method to the curriculum, updating facilities, and finally dedication. And when it comes to dedication, we ask that we encourage our teachers and workers. We do dedication by encouraging teachers and workers. And as leadership, I'm the pastor of children. So I'm determined to go around. And what I do is I every morning, for our life group, our Sunday school hours, I'm visible. I'm walking around and I'm greeting the children. I'm talking to them. I'm telling teachers, thank you for being here. Thank you for loving our kids. And you guys are doing awesome. Getting down on the floor and hanging out with them. Come here, help me put together this puzzle. And someone's helping me, and the kids get down there and get the teachers, Miss Garland, come down here and help me out. Oh, if I get down there, I'll never get up. I hear that all the time. It's true. I know. But taking the time to make sure we tell our workers, thank you for what you're doing, especially those that have special needs. And what I think is cool is one of our Awana classes has 3 special needs kids in it. And Margaret works in that class. And she knows how to handle, since her son's special needs, she has no problem with Ethan and Dalton and a couple others. And she knows, okay, and she knows that, okay, these are going to require something a little bit special, a little more attention, a different approach, if you will. And it's really neat seeing her do that, but I don't take it for granted. I always go up and say, Margaret, thank you for your help. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Because that word goes a long, long way. So regardless of whether you're in leadership or you're the one that's about to start things going, it's imperative to edify the people who are doing that job, who are doing that, who are called to do that. So encouraging your teachers and workers, and finally loving children and families. Loving children and families. Treat them like Jesus would. I mean, that's the mantra. I mean, if you have to wonder, should I love this person? Well, what would Jesus do about it? I mean, that's all you have to wonder. And I say this carefully but honestly, like Latresa's daughter Madison is temperamental. And I have a picture. You didn't get to see the picture, did I? I like to go eat lunch with the children in our church. I'll go to their school and sit down and have lunch with them and their friends. And I was at Southside Learning Center where Madison and some other kids go. And Madison was eating her Cheetos, and she would not give me, am I wrong? She would not share her stinking
We have to
Cheetos.
bribe her to go into the cafeteria, because
Right.
she only does that half a day program.
Yep.
She just turned 5. So she, pictures or anything, she would not go take into the cafeteria.
No.
So we had to give her a whole bag of Cheetos. We ate Quiznos, because that's where I work at also. So we ate Quiznos that day. So myself and Madison went to Quiznos to pick all the teachers' lunches up. So I was like, okay, who's going to give a bag of Cheetos up so we can get Madison in the cafeteria after they did?
Well, so I'm sitting here, but you know what? And I say this carefully. I love Madison. I do. And I enjoy going down and sitting with her and talking to her and treating her like she's another child in there. When it comes to some of these other children that are in there, Ethan, Dalton, they want to come hug you and talk to you. Getting down, hey, let me show you something, Pastor. What you got? Dalton, look at that. That is awesome. Getting on their level, loving them. Even though, sometimes it drives you nuts. You know that Ethan's going to do something. I mean, he's been so good for so many weeks, and all of a sudden there's that one night. And a lot of you guys know, especially with special needs kids. A perfect example was one afternoon. Ethan was just having a non-compliant evening, no matter what happened. So grandmother's the one that brings him. So I went to grandma, and I said, okay, Ethan's having a hard night. Tell me what went on before you got here. And here's what we found out. Every Wednesday night, he has a routine. They go to Wendy's. He gets chicken nuggets. He gets honey mustard. He likes to dip his chicken nuggets in his honey mustard. And she thought this was pointless information. I said, keep going. And blah, blah. I said, okay, stop. So he didn't get his Wendy's and honey mustard. But you know how important that is to a child that's got a routine, and they expect that every single night. Okay, gotcha. So I went back to Ethan, sat down with him, and started talking. I said, Ethan, you know what I want something bad right now? I want chicken nuggets from Wendy's, but I wish I had honey mustard. He goes, me too. And we started talking about it. And I said, listen, what should we do, Ethan? Should we sit here and talk about it, or you want to go play the... before you know it, it distracted him. It got it off his chest. That was the one, as bizarre as that sounds, that was bothering him so much. But to be able to verbalize it and say it and get it out, before you know it, you thought I'd laid hands on him and hallelujah! Here he goes. He went out there and started playing the game, and everyone was like, what did you do? I said, it'll cost you $1 each, find out. It was just a matter of encouraging and loving him. And like I said, in the families too, and families as well. We were really making a push not to disregard the families that are involved. I'll be honest, it's really easy as a pastor of children to focus so much on the child, you kind of forget, oh yeah, there's a dad, mom, grandma, aunt, uncle, whoever's the caregiver. But it's vitally important to make sure that they're understanding that they're wanted, they're loved, they're included, and they're needed. And that's why I think I love like Latressa and Amy and Margaret, several of our members who have come to this conference to take part in this, because I need them. I mean, we need them at Emmanuel desperately to get input. They can't wait to fill out this evaluation form. I want chicken nuggets, but I don't want them from Wendy's. So the input is valuable and the input is needed, but it's all about just love. So communication, integration, dedication. When it comes to building a special needs ministry, these are the methods we've used. And when it comes to dedication, encouraging your teachers and workers, and loving your children and families. And know there's a future. There's things we've got to do at Emmanuel. We have to update our training, update our technology, and another big step is our promotion. And these are some things, like I said, just in a nutshell, that we know that's coming up real soon that we've got to concentrate on and make a concerted effort about when it comes to these things. Updating our training, our technology, and our promotion. But again, those are some things, or some methods that we are working on, and that are important to us. But like we told someone, before we jump on that horse and ride it, we want to make sure we put the saddle on first. So we want to make sure we don't get way ahead of everyone and go, we forgot something, didn't we? We want to make sure that we're well versed in understanding what we need to do before we get too far ahead. So as far as what we do with our special needs ministry and the methods we do, that's our approach to it, and that's our methods. So that's Emmanuel Baptist Church for you. Thank you.
I'm Samantha Thames. I'm the Director of Special Needs for Cedar Creek Church. How many of you were here for the last one? Did we have I said in the last one, I'll say again, for those of you who are getting, even if you're already started, this is a great resource, Special Needs, Special Ministry. You can get it on Amazon.com. We've used it a lot. It gives you a lot of good ideas. It gives you some testimonials, and it's just been a great resource. So I want to share that with you. I tried to think about as we got started with our special needs ministry, the things that, the steps that we went through and the things that we did that I think would be applicable to anybody getting started or if you have already started. And as we were talking about during the break, it's obvious that you recognize the need. You're here. I mean, we've seen that the church is recognizing what a need this is. To have a place for all people, to be in relationship with people. Pray and ask God to direct your steps. As we've said, sure you've heard each of us say, the plan that God has for Cedar Creek Church might be different from Emmanuel or Grace. It may be different. It's whatever the need is. They have a great after-school program. We don't have an after-school program. That's not what we've seen that God has told us to do. So pray and ask God which direction He would have you to go in. Create a mission statement. What you want to accomplish. It might be that you want to accomplish a lot of respite care outside of Sunday morning. That's a great goal and a great mission to have. And that's something that we're at Cedar Creek are learning more about, but it's not something in the beginning that God told us was part of what we were doing. And I'll have to tell you, our mission statement has been tweaked a couple of times, just as God has shown us what He wants, each of us to do. Pray and ask God to open the hearts of your church leadership and your congregation. Again, like David said, you just can't, pray enough about. And you'll be amazed at what God will do to work in the hearts of people before they actually even know what's going on. I was sharing with Teresa earlier that Tiffany and I, go to the same church. We didn't know each other. We had heard of each other as God was working in her heart for Camp Puckapalooza and in my heart for Sunday mornings. And God was already doing that work when we met each other. And so He brought those two parts together to grow our special needs ministry.